Hey, family, this is Dr. William Clark here for the Dr. William Clark podcast. Glad to be with you for another episode and glad we have a chance to get together and connect and talk about all things fundraising. This is your podcast. This is the place to go to when you want to talk about fundraising for your nonprofit organization. I'm glad to be back with you. And on this episode today, we're going to talk about sponsorships and do we view them as business transactions. So before we jump into our show today, I want to encourage you to visit me at nonprofitfundingstrategies.com if you are in need of coaching, if you're unsure and unclear about how nonprofit organizations raise millions of dollars for their worthy cause and how you too can do the very same thing. Visit me at nonprofitfundingstrategies.com. We've made our coaching program super affordable. We have a few more seats for this quarter that we're trying to fill, and we believe that you can benefit from such coaching and training. Why join us? Well, because you get monthly coaching from me live with other students in the class. You also get access to my 50 plus library of video courses that I've made available to you, where I talk about in detail the 3 secrets to fundraising, and you also get a copy and access to every tool that I use to fundraise. So if you're a newbie or if you're trying to get over the hump and you're less than 5 years old with your nonprofit, feel free to join me at nonprofitfundingstrategies.com. Again, that's nonprofitfundingstrategies.com. Join me, sign up for our coaching program, super affordable. Let's get started today and let's get moving towards hitting your fundraising goals. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about this topic of how do we treat sponsorships. And let me just read this question that we got online, and I just want to kind of review this with you and kind of help some of you out there who are trying to figure out how to process these type of interactions. Here's a question. I heard that sponsorships should be approached as a business transaction. Is this true? So the quick answer is yes, this is true. You should approach a sponsorship as a business transaction, but let me give you a more formal, long-form answer. Now, one of the reasons why people ask this type of question is because people view nonprofits as charity cases or organizations that give away stuff. And if you're treating your nonprofit like this, or you treat your nonprofit as something that you give things away to or for on behalf of the community, then you're always going to see yourself as a giver and never a receiver. And in the same fashion, you won't see your business, your nonprofit business, as a transactional entity that is designed to give and receive. And that also means negotiating terms that will benefit your nonprofit organization and your customer. So when we talk about sponsorships and we talk about seeing it as a business transaction, yes, you want to view it as a transaction. You not only want to view sponsorships as a transaction, you also want to view grant applications as a transaction, individual donors as a transaction. You want to view your event as a transaction. You want to view you starting a business under the nonprofit as a transaction. All of this stuff matters for your nonprofit organization. If you're not treating it as such, then you're always going to be skeptical and nervous about what it looks like to run an effective nonprofit organization. So the concept is treat it as a transaction. This is no different when you have a t-shirt business and you are running the t-shirt business and people come into the store and you decide to give away every t-shirt without ringing them out or without requiring them to pay you for your t-shirts. You worked hard on the t-shirts, you worked hard on the designs, you worked hard on the sourcing, you worked hard on the manufacturing, you worked hard on the delivery, you worked hard on getting your brick and mortar, you worked hard on paying the bills, you worked hard on getting your staff, and all of a sudden people come into the store. They'd see a t-shirt that they like, and all of a sudden you just say, you know what, don't worry about it. Go ahead and take it. And not only do you do that with one person, you do that with every single person that comes in the store. That will not allow your business to sustain. If you're giving away a product without an exchange for money, which is the transaction, then you will not have enough money to sustain your business for the long haul, let alone for that day. This concept is also true for nonprofit organizations. If you are not conducting business transactions, albeit through sponsorships, events, grants, fundraising efforts, etc., then you will not be in business long. Now, the mindset around why treat it a transaction is because a nonprofit is indeed a business, albeit a business not owned by any one person because it's a public entity. It still is a business. What a lot of nonprofits do not think about is that their work is transactional. transactional. While you may have a heart for it, while your mind is all into it and your spirit is into it, it is still a transaction. Why funders struggle to give you money, especially when you're new or you're not mature enough to develop the infrastructure to get it done, is because you're not treating it as a business. Treating it as a business is not a bad thing. What that means is when you treat your nonprofit as a business, you've developed systems and processes and procedures to get the work done that funders want to pay for. Individual donors, sponsors, funders, etc. pay for systems that can serve the masses, that can produce results on a grander scale. And if you're not able to do that, then yes, you're going to question, why should I treat a sponsorship as a business transaction? A sponsor wants their brand awareness increased. They want their product available and in front of eyeballs. And if you cannot articulate how a sponsor can get their product or brand in front of more eyeballs by way of your event or your program or your product through your nonprofit, then yes, they are not going to give you their money. They're not going to support your work, and they're not going to partner with you. So it is a transaction. If you're able to position sponsorships correctly at your next gala, if you're able to position sponsorships for your next product or program and show them how and why eyeballs will see their brand and how it will translate into dollars and cents for them, then they will give you money in exchange for that exposure. That's a transaction. If you're able to convey to a funder that we can solve this problem, fix this issue, and meet the need of the community, in exchange for X amount of dollars, you will see funders giving you money in exchange for the data and the results. If you are having an event and you're telling people that they will have a chance to have a good time, to network, and to support a great cause, then they will give you their money in exchange for a ticket for admission. It is a business transaction. And while the heart of the work does not change, while the mission does not change, while the intent and the purpose does not change, every transaction you have is a business transaction. And let me close with this. While your community, the community that takes advantage of your services, while they do not pay for your services, that is a transaction too. How so? Without the butts in seats, without the feet walking through the door, there's nobody to tout to a funder to say, hey, we have people who need our services. The people that you serve, while they get these services for free, are in fact paying for your business, your nonprofit business, to be in business because their attendance is valued at X number of dollars per seat per donor. It's a business transaction. So you want more people in your program. You want to be more attractive to the community. You want people to buy into what you're doing and support what you're doing. Then you have to learn how to market to these people. You need to learn how to sell to your community. You need to learn how to offer what they need. You need to learn to hear their voice and not only serve one or two people, because we are notorious for that in the nonprofit world. I know a story of one guy, two guys, three guys. No, you need to serve hundreds of people, if not thousands, depending on your mission, at a time. It's a business transaction. So I hope that helps somebody who's trying to get off the ground, trying to get their mind wrapped around how do I treat these transactions so I can support my nonprofit business. If you need to replay this podcast, share this podcast, like and subscribe whatever platform you're using to listen and watch this podcast. And again, if you need coaching to help you develop effective nonprofit funding strategies, then visit me at nonprofitfundingstrategies.com. Again, that's nonprofitfundingstrategies.com. This is Dr. William Clark for the Dr. William Clark Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.